Hello and welcome to Hornbill TV. I am Akivito. The Nagaland government had issued a revised COVID-19 guideline amid the surge of COVID-19 cases in the state. In the order, the government has directed all the persons entering the state of Nagaland and would be required to show a negative COVID test report done through RT-PCR test on arrival to the state, with the test being not later than 72 hours. To check on whether the government's directive is being followed at the entry points, our reporter Adona is at the railway station to give us the ground report.
तो इतिहा मोला औसोटे अलप आगे अलप मिनट्स आगे रे इतु येरे न्यू तुनसुकिया स्पेशल इतु येरे दिमापुर स्टेशन दे पुंचिना आसे तो मोगा इतिहा ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट दिवले रिपोर्ट दिवो निमिते याते आइना आसे तो ट्रेन इतिहा येरे पुंचिना पैसेंजर्स कान तो येरे नमी आसे तो मोय कैमरामैन के अलप दिखाई दिवले कोइ दिवो पैसेंजर्स कान तो इतिहा उलागेना येरे एंट्री गेट ते इतु विजिलेंस टीम्स स्टेट district monitoring team noelebi itu district task force kan kinika itu checking kan tu kuriase itu saule ase wilibi moan ita dikhan isna yate itu exit gate ase wilibi yate monitoring team noelebi yate vigilance teams kan yate rukhi kana check kurule laga aisa pase wilibi ita dikhan isna moan ita passengers train itia aigena passengers kan tu ulaze কিন্তু ইয়াৰে একো পুলিচ পাৰ্সনেলস কান বি নাই আৰু ইয়াৰে ভিজিলেন্স টিমস ইয়াৰে ৰুকি কিনা ইয়াৰে মনিটৰিং টিম কান ৰাখি কিনা চাৰ্জন আছে হলিবি ইতেতাক মুৱান দিখা নিচিনা পেসেঞ্জাৰ্স ইয়াৰে আলাক ষ্টেটস আলাক গুৱাহাটী আলাক ষ্টেটস কান ব্ৰা আহে কিনা ইতে পেসেঞ্জাৰ্স কান ওলা আছে কিন্তু মুৱান ইতিয়া দেখি আছে ইয়াৰে একো মনিটৰিং টিমস নাই কোন বি ইয়াৰে ৰুকি কিনা ভ্যাকসিনেশন সার্টিফিকেট নহলিবি কোভিড vaccine certificate noelibi itu negative test report kan check kura muan dikhi panai sabi ite tu itu intercity laga train aigena ase passengers kan tu iman aha dikhi panai kintu muan dikanisna yade entry gate te itu kunbi naruki kena yade itu ine passengers kan ke jaule dia muan dikhi pase to state notun guidelines idu yate especially entry points state entry points inter-district interstate especially Dimapur railway station airport aro alak interstate gate entry point idu vigilance teams kan monitoring team kan lagai gena itu covid vaccination loisina lonai aro negative test report kan loisina lonai itu laga check kurule laga order ulai gena ase hulibi itia mogan yare ground report yare Hornbill TV kan aigena mogan satu ite tak ere ku police personnel kan bi kara kurina check kura diki panai itu opor yare district task force yare medical department kan bi rakhina ase welibi ku monitoring team surveillance teams kan bi kara kurigina iku check na kura mogan diki pase to mogalaga state te itia omicron cases bisi utigina ase aro COVID protocols itu COVID guidelines bi follow kuribi kuigena itu state government kan bi itu district task force kan ge itu entrust digena itu balbra itu guidelines to follow kurule ko ase kintu yede itia muan yere Dimapur railway station de monitoring team kan laga itu action size up to iku yere tu iku checking bi nai iku negative test report ku tebra ise iku check ra diki panai last time bi Hornbill TV kan itu yade entry point of entry de kinika checking kan kinika itu surveillance team kan itu serious loigena itu omicron cases bisi uthau moi precautionary measures noilibi checking kan kinika jayasi itu mogan report kuri ase kintu itetak railway station de iku seriousness aro itu district task force bi iku serious na loigena yade entry point de iku checking na kura mogan diki pase to itu ase ajila ground report moi Adona Hari with camera person Johnson for Hornbill TV Dimapur.
Now to talk more on whether the passengers are following these SOPs and the guidelines that the state government had released on January 8th, we've got our colleagues that have spread over all entry points of the state. We've got Esther joining us from the airport, Dimapur airport. We've got Adona who's there at the Nagaland check gate in Newfield, and we've got Jeevan Rai who's standing outside the railway station. Thank you all for joining me on this show, and today we'll be talking more about the adherence of SOPs in the state of Nagaland. Well, coming to you, Esther.
Right.
In the latest guidelines that was released by the government has made it mandatory for any persons entering the state to carry a negative COVID-19 result test done through the RT-PCR, and the RT-PCR test shouldn't be more than 3 days old or 72 hours old. So in this regard, do you think that the passengers are following the SOPs that have been set by the government, and also is there any inspection authority that is aggressively doing this inspection?
Yes, the government is very rigid and very stern on the negative RT-PCR report that every passenger has to get while they come via flight to Nagaland. So, but last time when Hornbill TV had got exclusive access into the departure terminal as well as the arrival terminal, a lot of young people also had come
without a negative PCR report, saying that it is done here, so they wanted to get it done at the airport, which the health department, the Department of Health and Family Welfare, has set up a booth where swabs will be taken of the passengers who do not have a negative RT-PCR report. So some of them, yes, they do travel without the report, thinking that they will just do it here. So that is what it is. And right now, as we can see, that at this hour right now at the airport, all flights have come in and left. So there are no passengers right now, but according to very recent report of Hornbill TV, they are very rigid and stern. And if they do not have the negative reports, like I said, their swabs will be taken of their samples and then they are sent home for quarantine. That is what we have heard.
All right. So, Adona, you are at the Newfield check gate, or rather the Nagaland check gate. So, the norms that the state government of Nagaland had provided, saying that any persons entering the state of Nagaland should carry a negative COVID-19 result, and that should be done through the RT-PCR, and the RT-PCR test should not be 72 days old. I mean, so hours old. So, do you think that the passengers are following this SOP?
Okay, it is establishment of Nagaland passengers quality SOP follow period. Right now, it is license authority, it is district task force, surveillance team can it is SOP follow period. I think that will now it is data expectation. I think the moment it is more field check gate where Nagaland gate ground report where the just substitute. If you SOP government to लगाना है, really it is rescue check gate है, it is scheduling team का नीचे कम भी लगाना है, क्योंकि यह जो असम जा ये नागालैंड के दिशा लगा गांधी का पैसेंजर कम दे दिखाई देना चेक हुआ लगा तो इतना तक दिखी पाना तो इतना ग्राउंड एक्सपोज रिपोर्ट सब कुछ इतने गांधी का किसी एलबी पैसेंजर का ना एलबी अलग अलग गांधी का ये नागालैंड स्टेट के दिशा लगा तो ये देख के दिखाई देना ये कोविड वैक्सीनेशन सर्टिफिकेट में एलबी नेगेटिव रिपोर्ट में एलबी check regional item na isi checking kuda mugan di kitana ite ground la sapite isi checking la to voluntary yete scheduling clinic kan ke huda sapite ta kan yete post eta lagai dena checking ti ite voluntary sunna bane ayena check he heli ta kan la ta kan do ite passenger kan ke rekai dina ite passenger kan ke ite covid vaccination certificate le le negative test report kan di isi higa laga isi checking la ita di kitana mugan keda
Acha. So now we'll now go over to Jeevan Rai, who's now standing at the railway station, Dimapur railway station. So Jeevan, like the SOP that and the guidelines that were issued on the 8th of Jan, the government has stated that any persons entering the state should have a negative COVID-19 result, and that should be done through the RT-PCR, and it shouldn't be 72 hours old. So do you think the persons and the passengers entering Nagaland are following the SOP, and also do you see any security there inspecting those certificates?
Station Dimapur, and we have come to learn that any people with double dose, first dose and second dose, they are being allowed to enter the state. But whereas they are saying that people they are fleeing away because of the lack of security, and they also are in lack of manpower in the COVID surveillance unit.
All right. Coming back to you, Esther, you just said that some people enter the state without the COVID-19 test result, and they want to get it done after they reach the state of Nagaland. So, the authority that is there and collecting those test swabs, I mean, like, are there any fixed rate from the government, and what are the rates like?
Yes, the rate is rupees 800 as per government, and these are all at a minimal rate for an RT-PCR negative to get a test report done by the government. So these are all government rates of 800 rupees, as we are told. And I would just wanted to add from earlier that not many people, I won't say 100% of people are aware that they need a negative test report. They feel that a double COVID vaccination certificate is enough to travel with and enter a state, and especially in regard to Nagaland, everybody feels is of the notion that double vaccination certificate is all that is needed. But now the government, in the most recent revised guideline, which came out on the 8th of January 2022, says that it is very, very mandatory to have a negative RT-PCR report not older than 3 days or 72 hours.
All right. Adona, like Esther was just saying, not many people realize that, not many people think that COVID negative result is required to enter the state. So, is it the same out there at the Nagaland check gate? And also, is there any testing being done on passengers, and what are the rates for the RT-PCR test?
Okay, first of all, it is yet a district surveillance unit set up in the meditation as well as other departments. So, like other government norms, they can PCR test and then other medical kits from the surveillance and so, really, it's a surveillance team kind of really it's a post it's a part Taekwondo is meditation, surveillance team can go, but it's a take Takala report right that's Dipana. So there is so Pakistan is surveillance team can do really there is no people because Galicon Baskan is not Nagaland entity from Guwahati from the heart like a Pakistan so it is on so what is the purpose of setting up the district surveillance team here in the sector? So Tagan more aggressive one into official country so Tagan into Tagan Lasa Kanaka which is an IT Land voluntarily Ayojana Simba money test really test really so it is voluntary Ayojana being compared to especially money to the district Lakan money to the government limited district limited to Tagan Diki Yate Ayojana is negative test report test COVID test so yet another one is district Lakan test runner. So what is the purpose of setting up here? It is a district surveillance unit that is post oxygen after only to take up what is the purpose? So like any other normal target, it is a government like a CCC test and then it is a bit on the CCC only move on to up to the down report. So very can decide so yeah, that's it.
All right. Now going to the railway station where Jeevan Rai is standing. So Jeevan, are you seeing any an area where the RT-PCR tests are being done for the passengers that are entering Nagaland? And also, what are the rates of the RT-PCR tests that the government is charging?
Okay, RT-PCR test, they are charging 250 rupees.
All right.
And according to the officials, voluntarily, kun manu aikina mari ase, takhane mari ase, or else takhan manu manpower na thaka karne takhan manu khan ki rokhaina each and every passengers khan ki check kuribole aru takhan ki rokhabole na pare enia kuise aru officials iti RT-PCR aru itu COVID testing test takhan manu khan tu ko ase lack of manpower takhan manu tu bisi komti ase aru takhan ki security lage kinone passengers khan tu ahi ja pisite takhan rokhaile bi kunba khan tu takhan ki gali digina polai jai koi aru kiman jon tu itu garne takhan second dose check kore second dose certificate ase bole ne jaule di ase ne ko ase.
Acha. So coming back to you again, Jeevan. So suppose kunba RT-PCR test kurina suppose positive ulaile. So next procedure to ki ase na officials khan ba uko janaisen nai na aro takhan to paid quarantine kuro na home quarantine kuro na government facility.
I can hear your voice clearly.
Okay. Coming back to you, Jeevan again. So suppose kunba train station de RT-PCR test kurise kuise aro tai to positive ulaise. So next process to ki hobo?
itu tahan ko to ile officials khan par ko to ile tahan quarantine center bi nai ko ase
acha
to itu to tahan ko na pare ne ko ase
oh acha thik ase
tahan ko to ile medicals khan ghorte jaige na check kurubo enika kotha khan ase bisu
acha so which means rather they are going for the home quarantine. Okay, coming to you, Adona, say in case in the Nagaland check gate or Nagaland check gate in Newfield, say someone tests positive for the corona. So what is the next procedure for the affected persons and also for the government officials? What do they do next? Do they send the person to home quarantine or to a private quarantine, or do they send it for government quarantine?
So one of them is the government SOP. Let the Nagaland check gate, let a new city, or very difficult for family, it is kind of empty to do negative positive certificate, Taganaga, authority capability, if you program home quarantine, in the Pakai. So, when the ground reality, SSC, cover city, looking at it, reality, and more particular, let the new check gate, the test to the doctor, voluntary ayogana period. So voluntary ayogana check program like 86 years home quarantine का ना पता है कि जैसे कि मेरे process home quarantine curriculum process किसी ले जाने लगा किसी पता होने लगा इतनी कुछ होती है सबसे ये काम लेकिन official काम पे आगे कि negative test के लिए home quarantine curriculum पता दिए फिर पता दिए कि मुझे किसी का ये डिपार्टमेंट ना गए ले जाओ ना किसी का ऐसे हो जाए किसी के अगर मुझे होम क्वारंटाइन के लिए एडवाइस किए इसलिए सबसे अच्छा तो very risky ये पॉजिटिव होते हैं लेकिन इसमें एक नियंत्रण मदद के लिए पॉजिटिव होते हैं कि ताकि होम क्वारंटाइन जाने टाइम भी अलग रास्ता है इंडा also during that day इसी रास्ता किसी टाइम भी लगे करें so it's very complicated if we have to stick on this home quarantine इसी आप लोग सीधे सब पे बैठे
all right, Adona.
Yes.
All right, coming to you, Esther, as per the guidelines, a person who does not carry a negative COVID results as he enters the state of Nagaland, his test samples are taken and they are sent for testing. So, and till the time the test results are come, that person is supposed to be under quarantine. So, is there any authority that is ensuring that that particular person is under quarantine?
Yes, so again at the booth over here at the arrival, they have to fill out forms and, give the details of their address and the whole...
the health department makes sure that they are in touch and they keep checking up on the patient if they are showing symptoms or they are asymptomatic or mild symptoms of any sort. And also, Aki, I just wanted to add to your previous question, which is also in connection to this.
Yes.
Even if, there are some travelers or locals, people from Nagaland who have come back from other states, they do also have a sense of responsibility, even though they have a negative RT-PCR report. I have also heard that when I visited the airport earlier, they were also saying that they will go straight to a hotel and quarantine themselves over there, at a hotel, even though they have a negative RT-PCR report, because they don't want to be a threat to their family or their, or people around them. They will go straight to a hotel and then lock themselves up for about 4 to 5 days till, they don't have any symptoms, that they are certain that no symptoms or they're not feeling, too good or something. Then yes, they are some responsible ones over here. And also, like our Deputy Commissioner of Dimapur also said, that your personal safety is your own responsibility. So a lot of people are taking that very seriously, that they have to take their own responsibility of being safe. And so, yes, the health department is keeping a check of that, but as well as the public, they're keeping a check on themselves as well and being responsible citizens.
All right, Esther. All right, coming to you, Jeevan, you just said that there are no proper procedures being explained to you at the moment. Also, don't you think that if it is not properly checked, there is a scare that the COVID outbreak will happen once more? Jeevan, can you hear me? All right, before I get back to Jeevan, I'm going to ask the same question to Adona. So, Adona, you were just telling me that there is no proper forum, or rather there is no proper regulation as to the entry and the RT-PCR test. So, say somebody has corona positive but is not being checked properly, don't you think itu bara aro COVID uthibo pare? There'll be a panic because there'll be an outbreak of COVID again.
It is a very obvious, it is a very especially mane yede mugan Nagaland state because ekla moyena Allah ita yede mugan de Assam logore bode tina so this is the main gate Assam ra it just kiwate so in the yede claim of entry the mugan it surveillance team kan it sick noise ke Allah ita mugan state se Omicron cases kima ini Allah state Manipur aur yede Assam ra it also very obvious. It is a Muhammad to Utila. It is especially Dimapur train station, our entry, point of entry, so Muhammad surveillance team, one of the departments now. A study serious one, Muhammad surveillance team do. So, very come to study because in a case, so either I see the little Muhammad and then Muhammad motor place to the Muhammad set up as a team. So, for getting somebody to between normal, so both exist that Mughalaga take advisory like in the second wave, third wave to the BCG whole lot of chances.
Acha Adona. So coming back to you, Jeevan, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
All right. So Jeevan, I was just asking Adona. I mean, like, look, the bus and the railways are the most common platform for people in large numbers to enter one state to another. So don't you think, like, without proper inspection and regulation, with so many people entering our state and without any security or surveillance, don't you think that there is a chance for another COVID outbreak in our state?
Yes, there is 100% chance because American agede aigina passengers kan kunba railway station de kothau ko humaite American hudisi court price go they said that they takan Punjab price guise to Punjab price guise to COVID takan vaccination la duita dose to lukina si guise hoili bi ete to 72 hours negative test RT-PCR itu to nai ani guise to aru rukhai gina ite check kurbo enega du iman thakana reason toile the surveillance team takan ko toile manpower komti ase manu ekdam komti ase manu bisi rush kurna tamde duijon tinjon thaka tamde takan rukhai gina ekjon ki hudau dui kuribule eniga time na pare guise at the same time takan toile police security force to lagi vi ko ase and there are also many of the passengers they are without mask na lagai na thakan bisi ase and itu han bi check kile na kurei goina huda tam dele itu toile police khanna duty ase ni guise to negligence toile police side te ase na ete surveillance team la se itu kobole ekdam diktar ta ase but there is chance third outbreak hopefully.
Acha. Okay, Asa, I guess this would be my last question to you. Now that the vaccination drive for the 15 to 18 years age bracket has already started, is it mandatory for them also to carry a COVID negative result?
Yes, very much. Since it's just started now only, we have been told that we will be needing a negative test report, RT-PCR, for 12-year-olds and above, for 12-year-old and above, and the ones that will be 12 years and above will be treated as an adult or whatever guidelines are there for adults will be the same for 12-year-olds and above, but for 12-year-olds and below, then if they do not need an RT-PCR report, unless they're showing little symptoms, then they will be definitely checked at arrival and samples taken. But it is not compulsory for 12-year-olds and below to have that. But yes, for 12-year-olds and above, definitely an RT-PCR report negative RT-PCR report is needed, because the double vaccination is not as much as important as it is right now, but the negative report is very much important.
All right, Esther, thank you so much. Well, that was Esther joining us from the Dimapur airport. We had Adona, who was there at the Nagaland check gate in Newfield, and we had Jeevan Rai, who was reporting from the ground in the Dimapur railway station. Thank you all of you for giving us the recent update as to the followance of, or rather the adherence of the new SOPs that was released by the Nagaland state government on January 8th. Well, when we just spoke through, and as you saw, the two reporters who were in the Newfield check gate and also the railway station said that because of lack of manpower, the surveillance team could not keep up the surveillance as to the required regulations that the government had given. Whereas if you look at the airport, there have been provisions, and the checking and the surveillance in the airport seems to be very stern and very up to date. So that seems to be a matter of concern, because there are more people coming into the state from the railway services and also the bus services.